Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report, reporting live here at the famous Blue Note Jazz Club as part of the grand reopening ceremonies and the Blue Note Jazz Festival taking place here in New York City. Blessing the band stage tonight is Grammy Award-winning saxophonist, composer, and now educator Joe Lovano for the unprecedented run here for the Blue Note Jazz Festival. As you might know, Joe Lovano is now entering a new phase of his career. He's now officially left Blue Note and is now with ECM Records, headed by the legendary Manfred Eicher. Tonight we're going to sit down and talk about his transition from Blue Note to ECM, also reflect on recording as well as collaborating with Manfred Eicher, as well as talk about his new trio. So sit back, relax, and enjoy highlights of the Joe Lovano Quartet live here on the Pace Report, live at the Blue Note Jazz Club as part of the Blue Note reopening ceremonies and the Blue Note Jazz Festival here in New York City. You know, there's a saying, everything must change. You're in a very new phase of your career now. You've left Blue Note and now you're with ECM. Tell me about your transition from Bruce Lundvall to Manfred Eicher.
Well, you know, one thing for sure, man, to live in the world of music is a blessing. And you just carry on as you go along. And you're always exploring and discovering and trying to express yourself every step of the way. And your personal history, the growth of your personal history as a musician and a man, right, on the scene, just keeps developing, and the blossoms keep coming. And when you give, things just kind of feel right, feel good, you know. You share the blessings. And it was a blessing to know Bruce Lundvall and to have his embrace and to work with him and be able to create such a catalog on Blue Note Records.
26 records, man.
Well, yeah, 25, 26 different dates and sessions and ideas. And within those, there were a number of ensembles that I established. You know, from trios and quartets and quintets and larger ensembles with strings and woodwinds and voice and percussion, as well as my nonette, you know. And it was just something that just kept moving forward into a new place all the time, you know? But yet reflecting within and then projecting something new and different within that, you know. This quartet here at the Blue Note this week, I'm calling a Joyous Encounter, from my joyous encounter with Hank Jones, George Mraz, and Paul Motian. That was one of my quartet records with Hank on Blue Note, you know. And we're playing some different compositions than we did, but we're touching on some things that I played with Hank too, that we recorded and explored together, you know. That period was really amazing for me, man, to have Hank's embrace, you know. And moving into today, with Manfred Eicher and ECM Records, our history goes back to like 1981 when I first joined Paul Motian band. That situation grew from a quintet, which originally had Billy Drews on saxophones and Ed Schuler on bass, Bill Frisell and myself. And then Jim Pepper came in at some point and replaced Billy. And then the trio with Frisell and I and Paul emerged around 1984. And we played with Paul till his passing in 2011. But throughout that period, even as I was recording as a leader for Blue Note, Bruce gave me a green light to do some other dates and to play as a guest and within some ensembles and bands that I was a part of, you know. So I had a relationship with Manfred throughout that whole period that I was with Blue Note, you know. So when my Blue Note period changed, I had 3 7-record consecutive deals with Blue Note from 1990, 91. And the last release was in 2015, I think, and it was live at Newport with the Quartet, with George and Louis Nash on drums with Hank, that I had in the can. You know, it was recorded in 2006.
What took so long to record, to put it out?
Well, it wasn't in the scheduling, you know, it was an extra project thing. We came back from a tour. I did the date live at Dizzy's Club Coca-Cola with Hank as a duo.
Right.
That was also 2006. And then we played Newport, and I had to record that set. So I recorded it myself, and then Blue Note, we negotiated and they put it out. And when Don Was came on the scene, that turned out to be the last session I did for a release with Don. You know, we did sound prints live at Monterey, and live at Newport, you know, and Cross Culture also with Us Five.
Right, Us Five.
That came out under Don's leadership at the label, you know. But there was just time for a little different twist, you know, and I needed a little space, and then moved into my scene now with Manfred and ECM Records, and I've over the last few years put a few different things out. Trio Tapestry, and one just came out with Trio Tapestry that we recorded in November of 2019 called Garden of Expression. I'm really so thrilled that that was released now during this period.
is it about this trio setting? Because we want to go back to Paul Motian. This was really inspired by you playing with him, and this leading your new group, because we know you affiliated with many ensembles. Why did you go with the trio approach right now?
Well, you know, it was a spiritual journey to play with this particular formation, with Marilyn Crispell on piano and Carmen Castaldi on drums, who's like such an expressive, beautiful musician, and one of my closest friends and colleagues through the years. We grew up together in Cleveland, you know. And when I came to New York in the mid-70s, Carmen went out to the West Coast. And he came back in the early 2000s, and he's a part of my Viva Caruso recording, which I had a number of drummers, Joey Barron, Carmen, Jamie Haddad on percussion, Bob Meyer on drums. It was like a percussion section, you know. Carmen was playing with me in that group, and we toured Europe and did a few things. And when this moment came, in reflection of some really intimate, beautiful music that I experienced playing with Bill Frisell and Paul with no bass, I wanted to try to write some compositions that had a purpose and a sound within them that we could play and create a tapestry of melody, harmony, and rhythm. Without the rhythm being the driving force of the rhythm is the driving force in the melody and the harmonic rhythm, but in the drum part, not a beat that we just play over. Like the drums are free to create within, create melody, make the harmonies, you know, and shape the flow, you know. And without a bass dictating a pattern or any kind of underlying groove, we have to create the groove. It's a deeper music when you have to actually create the momentum from your melody and not just play over a beat. So that idea is something that I've been dealing with for a number of years. And with this particular formation, things are coming together in a beautiful way.
You know, the direction of music styles that you've played and compositions that you're writing, do you find it now, even during this pandemic, do you find that writing now is coming more freely to you, or do you feel that sometimes you have to come back one day and come back and finish that idea 4 or 5 days? How is it coming to you now, Joe?
Well, you know, during the last year and a half, without touring and without playing any gigs, you know, and rehearsing for a situation, for a gig, or for a recording session or something, you know. I mean, I've been practicing and playing a lot and exploring different ideas within the woodwind family. Bass clarinet, C melody saxophone, G mezzo soprano, alto flute, and just to name a few horns, you know. So every day I'd be touching some different colors and sounds, you know, and trying to compose without trying to write a song or you know what I mean, like something more like phrases and ideas that can take shape freely as you explore them, you know. And to write some compositions, man, some notation, a sequence of tonalities and sequences of harmonies, but maybe without any bar lines or any stems on the notes, and play within them and try to shape something that's in the world of the unknown in a way, you know, but within a sequence of sounds and colors, you know. So I've been working on that idea, and things are coming together in a nice way.
And the trio is kind of reflective of what you're doing now.
Well, it is, and what we were doing before the pandemic that process was happening, you know, in my compositions and stuff. But if you listen to Trio Tapestry, the first release, and now Garden of Expression, you will hear this way of composing and way of shaping some music. And it's really inspired not only from playing with Paul and his approaches about folk music and open song forms, you know, but it's also definitely totally related to my studying with Gunther Schuller and working with Gunther, you know, through the years. You could hear it in the recording Rush Hour and other things I've done with Gunther through the years, from the mid-90s, early 90s, you know, and also playing with Ornette Coleman and having Ornette's embrace. You know, I played on his last performance celebrating Ornette in Brooklyn in Prospect Park, and a recording came out of that, and it was an amazing lineup of some of the most expressive improvisers in jazz, you know. And in folk music and in Ornette's world, you know, that's inspired me all along, you know, having Ornette's embrace through the years. And being a part of the scene with Paul, Charlie Hayden, Dewey Redman. I was a part of the Liberation Music Orchestra in 1986, which was an incredible experience to play within Carla Bley's music, you know, and be on tour playing with Dewey and Maconda, Ken McIntyre, you know, and Ray Anderson and Craig Harris, you know, and Paul on drums, Jerry Allen, Amina Claudine Myers. Through the years I was there, a whole bunch of different folks in the band, you know, Tom Harrell also, Stanley Davis, different folks, you know, and that was a beautiful experience because Carla's charts were real specific, but they were very sparse and open, and we all had room to take it places from the feeling of the music,
right,
you know, and the feeling of the players, you know. And when you're playing with Charlie Hayden and Paul, motion together, man, the music is just moving in a certain way that everybody's paying attention to each other, and there can be all kinds of different things that happen, right, you know. So, you know, this whole period during this pandemic, man, I've been really reflecting on those moments and relationships to carry me through and to bring me into tomorrow.
You know, one of the things I have loved about ECM, which sets them apart from all record labels is that Manfred allows the artist to express themselves. And you know where I'm going with this. I mean, certain labels, you know, they want produced or overproduced product. But I noticed that he has a hands-on with you. I was watching the behind the scenes of how you recorded your last recording. And that has to be kind of reassuring to you, because you've produced your own records with Blue Note, and now you're allowing this guy to tell you, okay, why don't you express yourself differently this way? How was that for you?
Well, you know, the thing, when you have trust and you really let the music speak and play with your feeling, things happen in the music. You know, the one thing, like this session, this last session, Garden of Expression. Okay, we were in Europe on tour, and we played in Lugano, Switzerland. We had the date set up to record there. Okay, Lugano is a beautiful recital hall at the radio station there, Lugano. So the night before the recording, we played for a packed, beautiful audience. Same compositions, right? But now we're playing in a performance, and we played with an attitude of playing for people, you know? And each tune had a different energy and a different shape, and man, it was really something, you know? Next morning we went in, we set up on the same stage, but we addressed each other instead of the room, and we recorded all those takes that one day, and we sustained another kind of mood on the same pieces of music, you know? And with Manfred's attention, and he pays attention to detail, with sound, and with the flow of what's happening, you know? He's part of the group. He's part of the flow of the session.
He's like George Martin for the Beatles.
Well, you know, yeah, like George Martin, or even like a Creed Taylor, or you know, Michael Kuskuna, you know, and you have another set of ears and someone there that has a passion and a love for what you're doing, and helps you maybe shape some things in a different way, you know. But Manfred's genius is in letting the music really take shape, but to help you sustain a mood from piece to piece. And that's what happened on Garden of Expression, man. From piece to piece, it's like a flowing mood that captures you throughout. You know, it's not like one tune after another with a different energy and attitude on each tune. You know, and that's a beautiful thing, man. It was incredible. You know, and the big difference between a Blue Note record and an ECM record also is a Blue Note record has a nightclub sound and a nightclub feeling. You know, like how we're playing tonight. You know, it's a different thing. You know, it's that you're playing for people in this nightclub, and that captures your energy and flow. You know what I mean? But like Manfred loves that recital hall sound and that kind of mood and feeling, and felt so great to do what we did on Garden of Expression, because the night before we played the same room, so we were real comfortable in the space. A lot of times you go in a studio, you go in there cold, and you get used to the feeling of the studio, and you're with the headphones, and you're listening to playbacks and all that. We played as a trio in a room we were real comfortable in from the night before, and that also added to the magic, I think, of the flow of the pieces on Garden of Expression.
Yes, I mean, Manfred really, you're in the class now of great jazz recordings, and I'm talking like Keith Jarrett, Pat Metheny. I mean, you're now in that echelon of artists that he's worked with and brought out some enormous talent. Did you ever think that he would bring out some more stuff that you never thought would come out?
Well, you know, sure, because you're always moving into tomorrow, you know, and to have his embrace through the years, I feel really comfortable with him and in the studio with him, you know, and you know, the one thing that is really beautiful is that he pays attention to detail, like I mentioned before, and every tonality and every little brushstroke he hears and he feels, you know. Some people might be listening, but they don't hear what they're listening to. Manfred really hears what he's listening to, you know, in your melody and in the flow of a piece of music, man. And I grew up with some of my favorite recordings of Keith Jarrett and Chick Corea and Gary Burton and others, Dewey Redman and Old and New Dreams in that band, and Cadona with Don Cherry, you know, and
John Abercrombie.
And Abercrombie's recordings, you know, Dave Holland's recording, Conference of the Birds, and like I grew up with a lot of ECM recordings that were full of expressive, beautiful music, and also really the personalities of the players always came through,
Right.
you know, and so I'm thrilled to be working with Manfred, and I just recorded some with Bill Frisell and Tyshawn Sorey just earlier this month.
Okay.
And that's in the pipeline of a future release.
I remember when I first moved to New York, Planet Rock, over 13 years ago, and there were a couple people I used to really enjoy watching, and you and Hank Jones, when you guys used to play at Birdland, I used to really just sit back and just be in awe of just how both of you communicated some things that I miss those times you guys played together. Tell me about Hank now as a pianist, because I noticed in all of your ensembles, your pianist has to do some heavy duty work. I mean, when I say heavy duty work, they have to fall in line with not just playing with you, they have to play with you. And that's what you and Hank used to do together, play with each other.
Well, it was so magical to play with Hank because of his dynamics and his punctuation and how he accompanied and spoke about a few things in a few interviews we did together, and just about leading and following and really listening, completely listening, and being a part of an expressive phrasing together, you know. Oh yeah, he opened up my whole world, you know, into another kind of level of that, you know. But through the years, like playing with some amazing pianists, Kenny Werner and Michelle Petrucciani, Margaret Miller, John Hicks, you know, James Weidman, you know, to name a few cats, you know, Rini Rosnes, everybody was a Hank Jones disciple.
Right, right.
You know, but yet played with their own expression, you know, and their own ideas. But when you were in the room listening to Hank, if you went to Bradley's and you were in Hank, and you're in the room with Tommy Flanagan and Barry Harris and Marvin Miller and other cats, you know, there, James Williams. Just listening to Hank playfully play and have fun and always be searching for new sounds within songs that he played 1,000 times. You know. Sometimes he would put music in front of him of a tune that he's played forever. He would just look at the title. The title would give him ideas.
And you know,
I learned that from him.
It's great, but you know, and it's funny you say that, because with Hank, I always felt when you guys were playing, and even when he played with anybody else or just playing with himself, less was always more with him.
It was, but you know what? He would fill it. He'd fill up the spaces with beautiful punctuation and leave spaces to make those things mean something.
Right.
You know. I remember one night at Birdland, and it was first tune of the set. And it was with Paul and George Mraz and Hank and I. And we played this tune, Lady Luck, which was one of Thad's tunes. Thad and Frank West are credited for this tune. You know, and it's like da 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 do dee do dee do do bop bop ba dee you do do. You know. Okay, so Hank plays an intro, and he was a master at setting tunes up. Solo piano intros. Anyway, we start the set, play that tune first. He plays this 8 bars, the most amazing, beautiful 8 bars, so soft. It was like he had the soft pedal on the piano, and he just played this swinging intro, but it was a whisper. And Paul and I and George came in with a theme. And instead of hitting it, you know, da 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 do dee do dee, Paul had the sticks too. We played da 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 do dee do dee loo dee. We played almost softer than his intro, and he looked up with this big smile on his face. And Paul was on his stick too. You know, he wasn't with the brushes; he was on the cymbal, man. But we played it so soft with him, man, and it set the stage for the whole. Everything we played for that night, man, it was like had this dynamic expression that was really magical and amazing, man. And it was about that lead and follow, right, and be a part of everybody's breath together. together. You know, that's the magic of music.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report, reporting live here at the famous Blue Note Jazz Club here in New York City for the grand reopening and the Blue Note Jazz Festival here in New York City. I'd like to personally thank the talented Joe Lovano for his time. Make sure you support both of his releases on ECM, which are now available on iTunes, Amazon.com, and CD Baby. Also, people, please let's get the like, share, and subscribe to the Pace Report here on YouTube as well as Vimeo, as well as visit my website, thepacereport.com, for my weekly column, as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Until next time, peace.
Thank you.